All right. I want to thank you all for being here, both online and in person. Tonight's talk is going to be PTSD. We're going to talk about what it shows up neurologically, as on the EEG, how you experience it, how some people, the symptoms they're experiencing are that which people normalize, but it's actually PTSD symptoms, simple things that can cause PTSD, and more. So what we're going to jump into is a quick little story. Well, let's first off say PTSD does not happen just to people in the military. So post-traumatic stress disorder does not happen just to military vets. It can happen to anybody, depending on how important the situation is to you. And that's the key thing, is how important is the situation and how important do you internalize it will determine how big of a thing it is for you. And I'll give you an example of something that happened to me. So about, I think, what was that, 8 years ago, I was driving home from a seminar, and I was at a stoplight. And I stopped at the stoplight, and then it went green, and I accelerated forward, and all of a sudden, bam, I got hit. And you go, well, what hit you? A bicyclist hit me. So I'm accelerating on a green. Bicyclist hits me. He hits the side of my car, dents the front panel, rolls down the car, takes out the mirror, dents the door. And then, so I pull over, try to help him out. And the first thing that happens, the police show up and they go, well, you're at fault. And I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm at fault? Well, pedestrian always has the right of way. I'm like, it was a green light. How am I at fault? And I was lucky because the intersection actually had a camera. So it had cameras to show what was actually happening. So a week later, he calls back, goes, no, you're not at fault. I've never seen anything like this before. And what it was there was a young guy, and he was trying to get to the train, and he ran the light, and he hit me. So that's the event. It was kind of traumatizing because the police didn't believe me. Traumatizing because I'm like in a good mood, and all of a sudden, boom, I get hit. And so I drive home the next day, and as soon as I get to that intersection, my hands start sweating, start breathing quickly. I get like shaky. And it's because what happened is my body correlated that area with trauma. So in how we look at things, we can say that our brain is a meaning-making machine. It literally, what it's doing is saying, this area is scary, stay away, because something happened that I couldn't control. This can happen for various things. So say you were hit with a car, another car hit you. Then every time, if you correlate it, every time you see that other car, you can be scared of things. So we'll see this with people where they'll correlate smells, tastes, colors, music, and that can trigger them because it was what was happening at the time. So if at that time I was listening to a specific song, then every time that song turns on, my body goes, that means you're going to get hurt. Because what your body does is it takes that event, downloads everything, and says, these environmental factors are what makes you get hurt. Now, when that environmental factor comes back in, like a song or a smell or a color or a voice or whatever it is, your body goes into fight or flight. It goes into the amygdala, the old brain, not the frontal lobe where you can think. It goes into the old brain where you have no clue what's going on. It's protect, stay alive. That's everything that's going on. So from that event, I experienced a PTSD event. Now, what I need you to understand is the research shows that 6 to 8% of everybody in society will experience PTSD some point in their time, in their life. But we need to understand that you can move forward with it or you can get stuck in it. And if you get stuck in it, it can be a trauma that will literally move your life forward forever and to be a defining moment, or it can just be an event and everything's okay. I'll give you another example of this. We had a fellow we were taking care of, and this guy was very accident prone, to say the least. So he always found the the extension cord in a place to trip over. He always found the little lip to have a problem with. And somehow this guy was on 2 RTD buses that got T-boned. Like, let alone 1, 2. I'm like, this is crazy. So he's on the bus, he gets hit, he falls, and it was such a traumatic event for him that he relives that every day, and that's all he talks about. And this was before I was doing the neuro stuff, so I didn't really know what was going on. But for 5 years, that's all he would talk about. Every time we talked to him, everybody he talked to, he relived that trauma. And the sad thing is by reliving that trauma, you're literally ingraining it into yourself. You can become addicted to the trauma because he's going to get a form of a dopamine rush and an adrenaline rush to try to deal with it. And that's helping him get through the day. But then what's making him feel calm is also making his problem, and he's literally reinforcing it on himself. So we can see things like this happen, and we have to be aware of the event is one thing, and then what meaning we give it is a whole nother ballgame. That's not my expertise. If you need help with that, I recommend therapists, counselors, different people that can help you with meaning. My big thing is to help you break the stress cycle so that the physiology doesn't tell you fight, flight anymore. But we can see people, and this isn't common, but we will see people who have a vested interest in having a problem. So we'll see people who have a vested interest in being sick because they get a reward from the people around them for being sick. Or they have an interest in being a victim because they get reward from everybody around them. Or you need a handout, whatever it is. I don't see it as often, but once every couple of years, somebody will come in and they literally will resist everything you do because they don't want to get better, because if they get better, they lose something. So we have to look at that too. Are we really stuck, or are we keeping ourselves stuck because we get rewarded and praise, or we get empathy or something because of the trauma that we went through and the event? Now, don't discredit the trauma. Like for me, that accident was something that affected me. With the neural programming and stuff I did, with the neurofeedback, with adjustments, I got over it in a month. But the first 2 weeks, every time I went through that stoplight, I had a fight or flight response. I dropped into fight or flight. So those are 2 different indications of what will happen. Now, what happens, and I talk about this very regularly, but we'll do it one more time, is you're going to start operating more in the midbrain, and you're literally going to turn off the frontal lobe. You're going to be more in that emotional state. And I'll give you an example of this. I've done this before. Tell me where you were when you know the Twin Towers got hit. You know exactly where you were though, right? How about you? Yeah. Tell me where you were 2 days before that at the same time.
No idea.
You have no clue, right? And why that is we literally are ingrained that if there is an extreme emotional event, that memory is hardwired and never going away, and that's going to be passed down genetically to everybody. So that event was so visceral that you felt it. I know exactly where I was. I was walking across the quad, and I'm like, why are these TVs out in the middle? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I know exactly where I was, and that was like 20 years ago. 20-something years ago. I'll go off on a tangent. People are alive now that weren't even born then. So they don't even have that concept of that. I never even thought about that, but that was a whole nother thing. Anyways, that's getting older and experiencing things. So that event was so visceral and it affected you. The same thing can happen with a PTSD type event. But what becomes the trigger for you then is all the circumstances around you. So for me, it could have been music. It could have been the color of the bicycle. It could have been anything that I was exposed to that I met meaning to. And this is what's hard for a lot of people, is that you can decide the meaning. You don't have to be responsive. You can be proactive. and proactively state the event means what to me, and am I going to grow from it, or am I going to become a victim? Is it going to be positive, or is it going to be negative? And that helps people understand that they can proactively control certain things. And the biggest thing that I ever learned that was very helpful for me is I cannot control my thoughts. I cannot control my feelings. I can only control my actions. Just because I have crazy thoughts doesn't mean I have to do anything with them. And if you can work on helping yourself with those things. But a lot of people are not aware of that. They think they are their thoughts. So what I want to look at is the fact that when that amygdala gets stuck on, that's that fight or flight emotional center, and the frontal lobe, prefrontal cortex gets turned off. There's your PTSD response. Your executive center is turned off. When your executive center, your frontal lobe turns off, you now turn into a 0 to 6-year-old. You're all emotions. How easy is it to rationally talk to a 6-year-old and get them to do something? It's hard. How about a 2-year-old? It's insane. But that's what happens when you're in that PTSD state. Your body says, I'm going to die. Something bad is going to happen. And you can be triggered from anything that you correlate it with. So what I want us to look at and understand is there are certain symptoms that are common, but could actually be an indication of somebody having PTSD. So what are these symptoms? Flashbacks? Well, that all makes sense. Nightmares? Yep. But hypervigilance. What does that look like in the office? OCD. The child that always has to have something done a certain way, or the person who always has to be the center of attention, because it's not always rubbing things or moving things. It's I always have to get 100%, or I have to achieve at a certain level, or I have to do things. And because we know about the ones that are like, is that really okay? Like it has to be this way, but it can be other aspects. I always like the one that I bring up and I keep bringing up is achievement, because a lot of people don't understand OCD can be achievement oriented. I have to achieve. That's the only way I feel calm. That definitely can be OCD. Irritability. So we can see this. So you can have somebody who's OCD and irritable, but they're dealing with trauma as a way to try to get through this. You can also have, and those are the emotional, but how about the physical ones, like chronic pain? So you can have chronic pain from PTSD. You can have headaches from PTSD. We all know about sleep problems, but did you know you can have gut issues too? The digestive problems. So you got a friend who's got digestive problems, hypervigilance, so they're really good at work. They're always a high achiever, but they have that gut issue and chronic pain. They might be dealing with PTSD. But the trigger can be something more than just a physical event. The trigger could be a relationship breakup, a job change. Any major change can trigger it. A spouse passing away, a friend passing away, an animal. It literally is not dependent on what I believe trauma is. It's what they determine it to be. Does it make sense? So if that person is dealing with those things, we have to look at, maybe this is more than just like a pain thing. Maybe this is literally a PTSD. If that person brings up the same thing over and over and over and is just stuck in this limbic or emotional loop, it's probably PTSD. It's probably an emotional thing that they can't get rid of. So that's what we look at on the physical, but we also want to look at the neurological aspect. So what I see when I see PTSD, neurologically, in the back of the brain and the top of the brain, long-term memory, short-term memory, you will see the exact same pattern. And what you will see is theta, which is 3.5 to 8 hertz, divided by beta, which is 13 to 38. So this is stress, this is relaxation. In these two parts of the brain, you're supposed to have double the relaxation to the stress. And what we will see is more beta, and you'll see a very specific pattern. So this number will go down, and you'll see a very specific pattern, and it will show with this frequency. It's called alpha. And alpha is 8 to 12 hertz. And what you will find in these two regions is alpha is suppressed. What that means is alpha is pushed down. Now, why does that happen? Alpha is memory. So PTSD and memory problems are hallmarks. They go hand in hand. And let's think about this rationally. Why would your body not want you to remember something? Well, it was traumatic. I don't want to remember it. Well, that works for that day. But how about tomorrow when I need to do the work? Oh, I can't remember stuff. So it literally shuts down all your memory, not just one. So now we have decreased alpha response in the front and the back of the brain, and now our memory is not working. And this literally is the hallmark PTSD indicator. Now, you remember the other one I talked about, the hypervigilance, like OCD? That shows up in the frontal lobe. And for PTSD, what we'll actually find is we got beta. I'm going to have to make this smaller. Beta, alpha, and theta. And what's supposed to happen is theta is supposed to be the most, then alpha, and then beta. So slow to fast, you're supposed to have more of theta, then alpha, and then beta. Beta is supposed to be the smallest. So what's the stress brainwave? Do you guys remember? Beta is. So guess what happens when they have PTSD? They produce more beta than alpha. And what this actually shows up as is somebody who is a continually high achiever, task-oriented person that always has to do stuff and never can sit still. So they're productive all the time, but they never can deal with actually what's going on in their head. So they're always doing stuff. They're never calm. They're never in a relaxed state. They're go, 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 go. And those are the ones that burn themselves out. That's another PTSD marker. So you're like, oh, I don't have any memory issues, but I always have to get stuff done. That can be an indication that somewhere in your life you experienced a severe emotional stress. And you're like, well, the worst thing that happened was my dog died. That could be it. Or I had to move. Or I didn't get into the school I wanted. Like, I don't get to dictate what it is.
Or precognitive memory.
A precognitive memory. Yeah, it could be before you're, 2-3 years of age. Yeah. So what was brought up is you could have a trauma before you're old enough for the executive center to really interpret it. Because the thing that happens is we physically can interpret things as stressful, and it doesn't mean that we actually understand what's going on. Like, we make decisions when we're really young about what's good and what's bad and what's all the different things that are happening, but it doesn't mean that our decisions were correct. So if I got in an accident or somebody was mean to me, and that person that was mean to me, let's say, was wearing a hat, then I can make a correlation that everybody wears a hat is a mean person. We know that's not true, but we make that idea, and then you can see people make rash judgments based on the trauma that they had experienced in their past. Well, you have gray hair, you're a bad person. What? You have this color, you're a bad, well, why? Well, they experienced a trauma from the past, and that hair color triggers them to relive it. And this is the part that most people miss, because they go, well, I wasn't in the Army, so I don't have PTSD. No, you literally could just get fired from work and be scared that your kids aren't going to be able to go to a certain school, and now you get PTSD. Or you could, there's lots of different things. So like the one I can think about is I was at a seminar down in Arizona, and I never realized this, but down there, I'm sure it happens here too, but the doctor was trying to help people with lack of food issues. So she was literally doing like a food drive to help people with lack of food. But think of that, like lack of food could cause that. Like you don't know where you're going to eat every day. You don't know if you're going home for a safe place. Well, that makes sense. But food, I never thought about that, but it could, drive different things like that. So in the front, staying busy, That high achiever friend that you have, they could actually be dealing with PTSD, and that's how they make themselves feel calm. Because that's actually a self-medicating behavior. That's I achieve to feel calm. I have to clean to feel calm. Your neat freak friend, they might have that issue. So, what are different ways that we can help people with PTSD? Well, there's top-down approaches and bottom-up approaches. So the bottom-up means that we get the body to experience relaxation and tell the brain everything's okay. And the top-down is the brain tells the body everything's okay. Sometimes you have to do both. In our office, I usually start with top-down. That takes care of it about 90% of the time. But some people are so physically stuck in it that you actually have to rewire the body to tell it to relax. So what are symptoms of a body that's in stress? Tight muscles, breathing quickly, sweaty palms, cold hands, cold feet. So when we're doing the bottom-up training, guess what nerve we're using? The vagus nerve, exactly. So what would be a really important test we should do if we're going to do those things? See if the nerve works. Because I know a lot of people who are doing relaxation techniques and it's not working because they literally can't use the nerve. The pathway isn't working. So if you do not have a gag reflex where you touch the middle of your tongue and you gag, those relaxation techniques are not going to work very well for you because you're not going to be able to actually stimulate it to work correctly. So what are ways bottom up we could do? There's vagus nerve stimulation. That can be singing, breathing, gargling, ear clip in the left ear that I showed you guys, breath work, HRV training. And this is all about getting your body to realize it's okay. Everything's fine, and then it tells the brain. Because most people aren't aware that the brain, literally, the neurology coming into the brain is about 60% of the information, and the neurology going out is only 40. So the brain is more reactionary than generative. So that's that garbage in, garbage out from computer analogy. So if you have bad data coming in and your body's being told continually that it's stressed, then you'll get sick. So what is the quickest way for you to get your body in a tense, unhappy state is literally hunch over and clench your muscles, and you will literally turn on the stress physiology. What does it look like when people are on their phone? Oh, wow, it's like the same thing. Easiest way to relax, change your physiology, change your posture, because your body takes the posture and interprets it. So that's bottom up. How about top down? Well, the chiropractic adjustment will do it. EMDR can do it. Neurofeedback can do it. Laser therapy can do it. Those are some of the ways that we can do it. You can do both of them. You can do the bottom up, the vagus, the breath work, all that stuff. You can always do the top down at the same time and then connect them. That's what I like doing. It's just what we found is with the laser, we can literally get right to the area that your brain's stuck in fight or flight or stimulate that frontal lobe and it turns it off. Without the laser, I wasn't able to do that. So I had to do more modalities to help people. We also recommend that you find a trauma-informed therapist or get trauma-informed care if you're dealing with this. Because this will help the person be able to guide you through the trauma. That's not my expertise. I am going to be the person that helps your body come out of the physiological stress, but understanding it is not my thing. And I'll be very blunt. So that's that therapist that's going to help you. So the takeaway I wanted you guys to have from this is that your friend or family member that's a high achiever may be experiencing PTSD. The person who has gut problems, digestive issues, they may actually have PTSD. Chronic pain, they may have PTSD. We all think about the emotional aspect, but we never think about the chronic pain from PTSD, the gut problem from PTSD, the headaches, the sleep problem from PTSD. Some people do, but they don't understand that literally the breakup from their boyfriend when they were 16 is what's causing it. So when somebody brings something up, that they have this and it's never responded, maybe we'll look differently and look at, is it the brain? I'll give you another example of this. God has been sending me people with fibromyalgia lately. The last 5 new patients we've had all have fibromyalgia. But they all have different forms of fibromyalgia. The easy ones are the ones that we can see on the brain. But people can have chronic pain because their gut is not working correctly. People can have chronic pain because they don't have enough oxygen in their body. People can have chronic pain because their blood sugar is off. So you can have chronic pain because of all these issues. The easy one is I look at it, the brain thing tells me, and I go, yep, fix that area, pain goes away. Light switch on and off. The harder ones are the ones I just talked about. Oxygen, blood sugar, gut. So guess what I get? I get all of them. We got one of every single one of them. But what I'm showing you here is just like that with fibromyalgia, you can have that with a person with PTSD. Oh, I'm over it. It's gone. Let's see what your brain says. Well, I have this chronic gut issue, but it has nothing to do with my PTSD. No, it literally does, because it's that stress response. So when a friend or family member brings up something that hasn't been able to get better, it may be that they have an underlying PTSD issue. And the quickest and easiest way and most cost-effective way is to just get checked. Get that brain scan done, and we'll be able to tell you, is it there or it isn't there? So that's my hope, is that for you to take this information and let people know that there's more going on than just, I feel this, I feel that, or I get triggered by certain things. They may be having physical issues as well. So I want to thank you guys for being here, and have a blessed night. All right.